Not many people understand or know this, but he can crack anyone up. He's very witty and funny. He's a good human being. I wish nothing but all the very best to him and his lovely family. I've encouraged all my young strikers that at least go and challenge. At least go and challenge. You are good enough.
Sunil, it's been a month since your last match in the Indian Blue. How has this past month been for you? Are you at peace with the realization that you won't play for the national team ever again?
I think what has helped is I'm around my family. My mom and dad are here. My wife is here. My kid is here. So majority of my time when I'm not sleeping is spent occupied in the nicest way possible. So I think I haven't had got that alone time where I'll think and then again go deep and think that I can never play for the country again. But when I did make the decision, I was quite in peace. A small part of me will always keep fighting, will always keep nagging, especially when the camp name are announced, when the national team matches come along. But slowly, I think it'll fade away. I'll make peace with it. Right now, it is fresh. So whenever I do have a time, I think about it. But it's nothing serious because when I did make the decision, I thought about it. It wasn't in haste. So I'm quite majority in peace.
Sunil, now that you've had the time to reflect on your career, one characteristic trait of yours which we think has set you apart from the others is your knack for taking on challenges, embracing challenges, whether when you joined Bengaluru FC when Churchill Brothers seemed to be a much safer option, or when you went to play abroad, despite being a star in India. Do you think that this knack for embracing challenges has made you what you are today?
It hasn't set me apart from everyone else. It has definitely given me a lot of color. Me trying to, and it's not only the major ones that he spoke about, but right from when I was young, leaving Delhi, that was not a choice. That was default. Getting an opportunity to play for Mohun Bagan was something that I never dreamt of. But right after that, going to JCT, coming back to East Bengal, going to Dempos, coming back to Mohun Bagan, going abroad, coming back, taking Prayag United at one point of time. Yes, you can say that I more than often have taken route that wasn't taken before, but it was not to prove anyone wrong or right. It wasn't to set myself apart. It was just what I felt at that moment. My army background helps me in not being scared of taking different cultures and different places because it's not easy. When I look back, I can assure you, changing dressing room is not easy, but changing the whole uh, system of culture is not easy. From Calcutta to JCT is a different ball game. From JCT to Panjim is a different ball game. From Panjim to, let's say, Kansas City was amazing and different. So it was more to do with the kind of person I am. It wasn't to prove any point. It wasn't a predetermined thought that what I'm going to be the change maker. Nothing like that. It was just that's the way I am. You know, I mean, we live once, and as much as I can travel and see different cultures and different people, better it is. So whenever that opportunity comes in, more than often I've been positive of taking that plunge.
So, looking back at the illustrious career that you had, one might assume that your career was always adorned with flowers. It definitely wasn't so, it had its fair share of thorns. Like when you were supposed to sign for QPR in England, but it couldn't happen because you were denied a work permit. Or when you went to Coventry City, but manager Chris Coleman said that you weren't good enough. How did you deal with these setbacks?
Don't mince the words, man. He told me that you're way behind the standard we have here. The words were, your technique is all right, but you have no clue what was happening in training. And I will tell you, a small part of me was annoyed and sad that I didn't, but a big part of me was happy that I'm going back home because I was called for 15 days for the camp. East Bengal only left me for 4 days. And out of those 4 days, the first day was shooting training where I was absolutely brilliant. And the next 3 days were 4 versus 4 and this and that. And I got battered in a rainy, cold January time in England. And I was crying. I had no clue what was happening. The pace of the game was something that I'd never seen, felt, or even heard. Baichung Bai did warn me, but when I went there, the level was crazy. But you know what? On the hindsight, it helped me when I went to Phoenix for trials for Kansas, and when I went to Sporting for the QPR. It made me more aware that this is what it is. The level is this much high, and you have to be that much prepared. Because when I went to Coventry, I just thought, you know, was I'm probably the best in India. I'll go there and I'll nail it. But I got battered 3 days in the rainy, sloggy conditions in Coventry. And yeah, Chris Coleman didn't mince his word. He practically told me, "You're not good enough. Get back to your home and try and train more."
In hindsight, Sunil, do you think that the Coventry City failure made you the player that you are by destroying any sort of ego baggage that you had? Because later we saw you going to Sporting Club de Portugal and playing there with teenagers. You were there, of course, in your mid 20s, but you didn't have any sort of ego whatsoever.
You know, the ego emerges when you actually have some kind of feeling that you're better than the others. When I was thrown from the A team of Sporting and thrown to the B team, where there were people like Bruma, Eric Dyer, all 17, 18, 19 years old, you can't have an ego because you do understand the players are better than you. So I think it was a more humbling experience where I was in peace that, you know what, I am from 16 to 23 squad member. I have to work hard even to be on the bench. I only played 5 games for Sporting B, that too, not more than 45 a single game. So there was no way that I'm going to have any ego. And yes, you are right. I think somewhere in my head, because I've been to all these places, I probably in my career have never thought more than, I've never thought a huge amount of deal for myself. No matter what I've achieved, no matter how good days I've seen, probably this is the reason why I always stay, I wouldn't say humble, but I would say grounded, normal, because I know what I've seen. There are so many players who are better than me. So yeah, I'm just fortunate to be born in India.
Sunil, during your last match in Kolkata, we roamed around the streets and we asked people who could be India's next Sunil Chhetri. And the overwhelming majority told us that there won't be a player like you ever again in this country. Now, being modest as you are, you can put this down to recency bias. But do you think it is high time our strikers tell their ISL coaches to play them as number 9s? Because, of course, the foreigners are playing in that position.
So I think there are two things here. One is the number of years I've played. I want to believe my relationship with the fans is not only on the pitch, but also off the pitch. And that has happened because of the longevity of my career. So for anyone to reach anywhere close, and they will, it takes time. I'm talking about off the pitch stuff. On the pitch, completely comparing a striker to striker, yes. I've encouraged all my young strikers that at least go and challenge. At least go and challenge. You are good enough. And once you challenge, and if you still do not get few games, but when you do get a game and you prove it, the coach doesn't care, the club doesn't care. They want to win games. They do not care whether it's a Manveer Singh or a Pereira Diaz. They don't care whether it's a Roy Krishna or a Rahim Ali. They will not care. You get them goals, you get them what they want, they will play you. No club or no coach cares about which nationality the striker is from. They just want to win games. For example, last year, Roy Krishna and Sunil Chhetri both sat on the bench few games, but Shiv Shakti played all the games. Now, who would have thought that before the season started? I think Roy sat some games and I sat out some games, and Shiva played all the games. So I think the coaches and the clubs do not care. They just want to win games. So that's why I always tell my young strikers that go and challenge the coach. At least tell them that I want to play number 9. Of course, if it doesn't happen in due time, you can always think about going left or right, but at least go and challenge, because as difficult as it is, number 9 position, it is one of the most important and most fulfilling. You change fates of a team. We all train really hard to defend, but scoring is a very important aspect. England is one of the favorites in Euros, but the second highest scorer is Saka, or maybe Foden with 4 or 6 goals, with 60 odd with Harry Kane. So they need Harry Kane, no matter how good these guys are from in form players. So I think that's why I always encourage the strikers to go and at least challenge.
Sunil, you share a lot of similarities with another Indian sporting great, that is Virat Kohli. Of course, both of you have had to go through numerous challenges to attain the greatness that you did. You two are the players that we associate the 3 magical words captain, leader and legend with. And you are great foodies, of course, and great friends. Tell us about the friendship. How did it begin?
I think we met in few events very early and we kept in touch. Initially, it was just, how are you? Happy Diwali, happy Holi. But I think last 6-7 years, 5-6 years, we have been very close. Not close that we talk every day, but close that we understand each other. It's amazing when you have a superstar like him, and then you can tell him something and he can message you back saying, you know what, I understand those, because very few will. When I share some stuff which is a sporting stuff, and when you tell it to him and vice versa, probably we know that we will understand. And him being a thorough gentleman, completely crazy and funny person really helps. Not many people understand or know this, but he can crack anyone up. He's very witty and funny. He's a good human being. I wish nothing but all the very best to him and his lovely family. A lot of similarities. Got married at the same time. We were blessed with being a parent at the almost same time. So yeah, a lot of similar things to talk about, but food remains the topmost priority that we talk about.
Of course, what else do we have except food and friendship? Thank you so much for your time, Sunil.
Thank you, Suvajita. Thanks a lot. Take care.